Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids and Monsters Encounters video. Let's go ahead and let's do another scary set of Skinwalker encounters here. Two of them in one, both of them happening to the same user, and apparently one of them happening closer to that user's household. It goes to show that apparently these things can follow you home, especially after they've had their initial encounter with someone. So pretty bad news when it comes to this user, and I'd love to hear what your comments on it are afterwards. But once again, it's from the reddit.com website. They're from the subreddit Skinwalkers, and it's from the user called Mile High Stub. They mentioned their encounter as possible encounters with Skinwalker. That's essentially their title. So let's go ahead and let's share their information here. It's a little brief, but again, I wanted to just showcase it here to show a unique circumstance involving the Skinwalker apparently following that user home. And then I'll give my own comments on it afterward. But here's what they stated. This happened back in 2020. My sister and I were heading back home from the beach. She was asleep in the passenger seat and I was stuck driving in the foothills for an hour. It was about 9 p.m., so the highway was fairly empty and it was just miles of nothing but hills and open lands. From afar, I saw a creature on the side of the road, which I first assumed to be a deer. That's because there's deer here in the area. It stood there till I was a few feet away, and that's when it decided to sprint in front of my car. I caught a glimpse of what looked like a naked, human-like creature. It was well adjusted to walking on all fours. It had the hands and feet of a human, but pointy ears like a dog. It just looked like some giant flesh-colored creature the size of a large deer. The thing, though, that freaked me out the most was that it seemed to have glitched as it crossed the road. It all happened so fast, it gave me a disgusting feeling in my gut, and I could feel my blood drop to my feet. A few weeks later, I saw the very same creature. This time, the incident happened only a couple of blocks away from where I live. I happen to live in a rural countryside where there's nothing but grapevines for miles. I was making my way to the freeway when the same kind of creature ran in front of my car. I saw it glitch the same way, but this time into a fence. I was in shock because I had just seen it run through a fence as if it was transparent. I was so shaken up I didn't want to go back home that night. I'm not confirming that what I saw were skinwalkers, but I'm just sharing my personal experience of what I saw. At the time, I was very fascinated with skinwalkers and often talked about them, which could have possibly manifested them into my presence. And then that's it. That's everything that this user, Mile High Stub, stated in their encounter. So let's go ahead and let's talk about them here. First off, very recent, right? This happened in 2020, so less than 2 years ago, and it looks like it happened yet again in the middle of nowhere. They were in one case it was from a beach area, and in another case it was near their home. There she was driving home, and then all of a sudden she saw what she presumed to be was a deer. Could have been a deer at the beginning, but we both know that we've heard stories about these things shape-shifting. And then obviously when it ran in front of her car, that's when she saw that it was completely different. It was something that was considered naked, human-like, walking on all fours, hands and feet of a human, but it had ears of a dog, and then it had this flesh-colored look to it, and it was also the size of a deer. But clearly the thing that freaked her out the most was the way that it glitched. I tried to imagine in my head, like, how? Like, what would that be? First thought that comes to mind is where it pauses and then appears like a microsecond in a different spot. Again, like if you're watching an image on a TV and then the TV freezes and glitches and then it continues its course, you'll see whatever was happening in the image happen like a second later. And so that's what I was imagining here. It could have been somewhere else. Like it could have been a different way that it was glitching, but that was at least what I imagine here. That would absolutely just look freaky. The idea that something like this was able to, I don't know, have issues or have something that caused it to look like it was glitching, almost like in a Silent Hill manner, that would definitely give me pause as well. And then the freakier part was the idea that it followed her home. There it was now near her home, as she stated, in the rural countryside, miles and miles of grapevines, But then there it was once again in the road, only a little bit in front of her whenever it ran out into the road right in front of the car. And very same glitch was happening as well. And so, wow, that's crazy stuff. And the idea, of course, that solidified that this was nothing earthly was having this thing run through one of those fences, whatever that fence was and whatever it was made of. She literally saw it run through the fence itself as it was moving from point A to point B. Pretty freaky experience too. No idea again if what she was doing happened to bring these skinwalkers about, or if they were there the whole time and then all of a sudden they just decided to make their presence known. Interesting stuff, but I'd love to hear what your comments are on there too. But if anybody has any more info, anything else I might have missed on this brief story, then please let me know. Once again, no indication of where this occurred, which is something that I find a little lacking in a lot of the stories, like even just naming the city itself. So unfortunately, you know how there's always comments about locals stating in my stories about their experiences with things. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll be able to get any here. But in any case, any other comments, please post them below. All right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.